participants, and the very first performance of river dance was done in that particular concert hall. Anyway, if it's something you know about or don't. However, look to the left, boys and girls. That is the river that divides our city. It's called the River Liffey. And most capital cities and most great counties invariably have a river that in some way defines them. And this river very much defines this city because it divides the city between north and south. We are essentially on what we refer to on the south side of the city, and across the river is, this is the north side of the city, and across the river is the south side of the city. Years. This area here was all the docks area. However, I'm just going to talk about two things immediately. Look to the right. That is what is referred to as our conference centre. That accommodates anything up to 10,000 people. It was a very, I suppose you might say, an adventurous project in a time in Ireland in the last 10 years when the economy wasn't great. However, I believe it's doing very, very well. It was designed by an Irish-American, an architect called Kevin Roach. Now, have you looked at the bridge? The bridge on the river? You see the two guys having a little tussle? Doesn't look too good. It's called... That was designed by... Have I any Spanish people on the coach? I don't know what's going on there. Is that a fight? Are you looking over? What? It doesn't look... Is it a wrestling? Can you see what I'm talking about? Do you see the guys over here? See the two guys? They seem to be either... I don't think they're exchanging affection, but, you know, is it wrestling? Is it... He's trying to kiss him. Oh my God. That's what happens when you come to Dublin. Oh, he's just given us a... Oh God. We didn't think we'd be showing you this today in Dublin, did we? God. Cuddles on the bridge. Acton, what is it about? Don't try it on the coach, boys. Don't try it. Oh gosh. Kiss and makeup. Oh. They're some kind of sailors or swimmers. Anyway, just a little experience, a day in the life when coming to Dublin. And we forgot about the bridge. The bridge is designed by a Spanish architect called Santiago Calatrava, and he's a well-known, universally renowned bridge building architect. And I don't know whether you noticed the shape of the bridge, but the national musical... Lo and behold, I'm looking down the main street in the capital city in Buenos Aires, and I see the river, and I see a Calatrava bridge, and it's designed exactly the same as that. So it kind of debunks the old harp thing, you know. Yes, you have. You've been there. Yes. So it's anyway. We cannot say that Calatrava built that bridge purely with Ireland and the harp in mind. Now, very shortly, Abdul will be taking the coach to the right, and we will be driving literally into the centre of our capital city. And it is called O'Connell Street. The bridge we're travelling over is O'Connell Bridge. The monument that you will immediately see in front of you when the coach turns to the right is the O'Connell Monument. And most monuments reflect some aspect of a country's history, and none better than this monument here on the right. And it is called it's dedicated to a man called Daniel O'Connell. And Daniel O'Connell in 1828 secured for the Irish people the right to vote, the right to hold a seat in Parliament, and the right to practice their religion. Now that's a very brief history lesson on one monument. There's lots more to it of remembrance. And it is a garden that's dedicated to all the Irish men and women who died for Irish freedom. Now, Irish freedom, we're always talking about we were subjects of Britain. However, we had a very historic moment here about 3 years ago. Well, it is 3 years ago now. when the Queen of England, Her Majesty the Queen of England, visited this country, it was a state visit. She was invited by the then President of the country to visit here. And it was a very defining moment for us historically, because the Queen of England walked in here with our President into the Garden of Remembrance, and our President walking in there. Theatre is very popular in Ireland, both here in Dublin and throughout the country. And this is one of our very fine small theatres. There on the right. It's called the Gate Theatre. And an ideal husband. God, girls, wouldn't it be great when you get an ideal husband? It's a piece of work by Oscar Wilde. Are you familiar with the playwright and great literary man who was Irish called Oscar Wilde? And the play, as I said, that's been performed in the Gate by Oscar Wilde is called An Ideal Husband. So that's my wish for all of you girls. And yes, Oscar Wilde, yes. Yeah, of the north side of the city. But this is not where we will be dropping you off. We'll be dropping you off on the equivalent on the south side of the river. But remember, I told you Dublin is very small. It would only take you about 7 minutes or less to walk from the north side of the city to the south side. All the light comes in from the ceiling. And on the left, and this is, we'll be talking a little bit more now, we're on the south side. This is where, when we drop you off, if you wish, for an hour of free time, this are in place in Trinity College. They have a medical school, all levels of arts, engineering. This street is called Nassau Street. Any of you interested in cricket? Is that a cricket match that's happening on the grounds of Trinity? I think it is. Did I have a little peek? It is, yes. One of the oldest cricket grounds I'll show you later on in our tour. But cricket, and it's probably a college team. Now this is Kildare Street. And this is where lots of our museums and galleries are situated. We've come away from the centre of the south side of the city. So, Abdullah, we're going to go down, Marion, go down, take a left. Yeah, terrific. Yes.
Eu achei ali mais parecido com o centro do que aqui. Ela vai deixar bem a gente lá atrás, naquela rua bem movimentada. Então,
now we're going to take a left, and soon you'll have a sense that the city was built in squares. We're coming down to on the left, this large white building. This is where our Prime Minister has, as it happens, it's a man, so he has his offices. And our Prime Minister's name is a man called Enda Kenny. And as we come on a little bit further, this is the Irish House of Parliament. We passed by the back of it, because when this house was built, it was built as a townhouse and a country house. This section of the house was, as it were, we're talking a long, long time ago, was facing out on the Dublin mountains, and the front of the house was faced towards the city. So that was what you might call, when it was built for a man called Lord Edward Fitzgerald, the architect built it for him to accommodate the fact that he had a sense of having a townhouse. And it would be more in your line now than listening to me, the old Vikings tearing around the town. Now, if you look to the right, you see an image of Oscar Wilde. Can you see him? Very flamboyant character. Oscar Wilde, he actually died in France. There was an issue around his houses. I mean, these are part of our history. These houses were built between about 1720 and 1830. These were part of I suppose, the merchants in Dublin. They were all British associated, however, up to 1922. This was, as it were, a British country, part of the British Empire. Most of those houses now are occupied by offices because it would be impractical for now, in this current generation, or indeed up to the middle of the last nearly 50 to 60 years, it would be very impractical to try and rear a family in any of those large houses. Because most of those houses would have had several servants. Just make sure you come back. And when you get off the coach, go to the left, because you can't see the traffic coming in front of the coach. Walk to the left and maybe walk across. About 5 minutes. Everybody happy with that? We're all familiar with the expression climate change. Well, we're experiencing climate change. But today is a particularly nice day, and this, of course, is summertime. This is the 18th of June. Right. It's June, July, and summer clothes, summer fashion. We just wear less in the summer.